Tailgaters! What is going on? What's happening, Tailgaters? Drop down a little bit so you can all hear us over the music. And get started with episode number 19, dude.
19. We are out of our element today.
We are out of the elements as well.
We are. Not because we didn't want to be in the elements, but
no, we did.
We had to, because I was all ready, but just had some things going on. We weren't able to do it. So hey, we are in the studio today.
We are. Welcome inside Grizzly Buffalo Studios, our indoor location.
That's right.
For episode number 19 of TD's Beers and Tailgates.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, buddy. Oh man, where do we start? How about
what are you drinking?
I am drinking. Yesterday I work right on the border of Illinois and Wisconsin. Stopped for gas over the border and picked myself up some Spotted Cow from New Glarus. Solid beer, something I love to have in stock here in the studios. So Spotted Cow today, buddy.
Very nice, very nice. There's nothing wrong with a good old New Glarus. You can only buy that stuff in Wisconsin, by the way.
That's true.
I'm drinking a Sour Monkey from Victory Brewing Company. And mainly because I still got a sour taste in my mouth.
As you should.
From last week's Saturday's game. Still a little disheartening, a little heartbroken. But hey, show moves on. And I'm okay with it. So.
You know what? That was a hell of a game.
It was a great game.
We'll get into our game recaps here actually relatively quick, and actually that'll be the first one we cover. But just a little housekeeping items before we get there.
Cheers, bro.
Yeah, cheers.
Thirsty. Cheers, you guys.
Thirsty Saturday. Oh, okay. I'm trying to get a
nothing wrong with a 9.5%er.
No, not at all. All right.
So, as we said, we're inside the studio today, mainly just because we had some gaffes with the equipment and could not do side-by-sides with a simulcast from outside and also a simulcast inside. So, I think Facebook's got to work on some things here so that we can go live and do that again. But
that's the game plan. Hopefully we can. But we're back together again for episode number 19.
Episode 19, divisional playoff.
Divisional playoffs, absolutely. Excited about that.
Yeah.
Last week I joined the Bills Mafia. Unfortunately, it didn't go so well, but I wanted to represent a team that was still playing. So today I decided to go with the Baltimore Ravens. Ed Reed, haven't pulled his jersey out since our very first show.
Week 1.
The pilot show. So bringing Ed Reed back. I think the Baltimore Ravens have a good chance to beat Tennessee today. They're favored big. And again, we'll get into our game previews later in the show here.
Yeah, buddy.
How about you?
I am wearing Shane Falco from the Washington Sentinels. Seeing as though Buffalo's out, I figured why not. And I'm wearing a Buffalo Sabres hat because it's on to hockey season now for me as far as rooting for a team.
Yeah.
But, hey, it is what it is. It's all good, though. I'm still happy. And, hey, we're here, and we are going to get into recaps of last week and then get you guys ready for the divisional round of games that are going on today and tomorrow. So it should be a good show. And thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah, we're going to do our best to get a show wrapped up before the first game kicks off. We have the Vikings and at San Fran to lead off the divisional round of the playoffs today. So, let's take a look back, go back in the time machine here and look at the wild card weekend recap. The first game we'll go over quickly is the Bills at the Titans. Both Jay and I were predicting a Buffalo victory in that game.
Yep.
It unfortunately didn't happen. The Texans. I'm sorry, I said Bills at Titans. Bills at Texans is what I meant. The Texans end up coming out by 3 in overtime. I'm sorry, was it OT?
It was OT.
22-19.
Yep. I called that score, by the way.
Jay had the score.
I called the score.
Yeah, and that's an odd score. 22-19. He had called a 2-point. A 2-point happened.
Yep.
Just had the wrong team winning, unfortunately. But it was a hell of a game. It really was. It was a great game to watch.
It was a great game.
I thought Buffalo had it in the bag. It was kind of a tale of two halves, really. Buffalo, dominated the first half, and then Houston and J.J. Watt and Deshaun Watson really kind of turned on their motors in that second half. and led Houston to victory.
Yeah. I mean, DeAndre, he didn't have his first catch until the third quarter, and I thought it was great because his very first catch of the game also ended up being a fumble. And after that happened, I really thought if Buffalo would have scored a touchdown on that drive, I really think Buffalo could have put it away early in that third quarter. But unfortunately, it did not happen, and they did get a field goal out of it, go up 16-0. But you know what? We missed some tackles there at the end, and things happened, and Josh tried to do too much in the fourth quarter. Really showed that he's still young. I mean, that's his first ever NFL playoff game, but he still had one hell of a game. I mean, Josh Allen threw for 264. He ran for 92.
Yeah.
And he also had a catch for 16 yards and a touchdown. And, I had a really close family member reach out to me and tell me how they're done with the team and this and that. And I thought it was funny because I've always called him my fair weather fan. And, I know all I did was like, hey, whatever it is, what it is. What did Tom Brady do? That's what I want to know. What did Tom Brady do? Because what I saw from Josh Allen, 370 yards total offense by Josh Allen in only his second year in the NFL.
We ready to move on to that game?
Hi, Deshaun Watson was sacked 7 times in that game, which was a record for Houston.
Yeah,
and that was pretty awesome.
He did.
Well.
Buffalo got to him quite often, but he kept getting back up. Again, my head's off to Watson and Watt. I think those two really turned the tide in that second half.
They did. And one last thing before we do move on from that is, did you catch the second half kickoff? And if you blinked, as I did, all of a sudden the kickoff happened. I turned my back. I turned around, and they said touchdown Buffalo. And it was like, wait a minute, what just happened in that game?
Was that when the guy threw the ball at the ref?
Yes, he went ahead and he did not fair catch it. Okay,
right.
That is for sure. He caught the ball. He took a couple of steps and threw the ball like he was throwing it to the referee.
Yep.
The referee said, "Hey man, I'm not catching that. That's a live ball." Buffalo jumped on it.
I knew right away that was bullshit.
They said touchdown. I mean,
yeah.
Technically, the rule is, that was a live ball.
Right.
Now, do I agree with it? No. And I loved how the referees with the black jackets, their alternate refs, came running onto the field.
Absolutely. Into the men in black.
Basically slapped the guy in the face and said, "What are you doing?
Yeah,
what do you let these guys play? What are you doing?"
Yeah. The men in black took over on that play.
They
got it right.
They did get it right. It's what they call the common sense.
Yeah.
Right? Common sense rule. And it was kind of funny to watch the referee say, "I ain't catching that ball."
Exactly. It's like, don't throw it at me, man. The ball's so live. No, it wasn't. They said he gave himself up. So, I didn't see that.
Good times. We can move on from that a little bit. And
a little happier tune for you. The next game that was happening Wildcard Weekend. The Titans over the Patriots, 20-13.
Yeah.
Buffalo Jay and I both predicted a Titans upset victory.
We did.
At New England, as did a lot of people. I'm not going to say we're the only two people in the sportscaster news arena that picked that, but it was a nice win. Actually, I had the Titans winning by 8. They won by 7, so it was close there.
I had it 19-17. Pretty close on that as well. But what a game. And I'll tell you what good coaching by Vrabel. I mean, that was absolutely amazing. And to be honest, before we get into a few stats and what have you, to see Bill Belichick lose,
he was steaming.
Shit,
he was steaming
because Vrabel's taking delay of penalty games just so that they're not getting them. It was great.
I mean, for the record, that's a stupid rule. However, I loved that Vrabel used it against Belichick.
He used it.
Belichick did against the Jets when he was winning 33-0.
Belichick does the same thing. He will use any play to his advantage.
Absolutely.
And where do you think Vrabel got it from? So my hat's off to Vrabel for one hell of a coaching display that he put on. And stat-wise, though, man, there was not a lot going on by Ryan Tannehill this week.
Well, I mean, they pounded the rock with Derrick Henry. In fact, the Patriots are still trying to tackle Derrick Henry. I mean, he was a monster. He's
a beast.
He was a load to take down. He's a load to take down, and the Patriots had a hell of a time. And you know what? The Titans are going to have to follow the same game plan here against Baltimore. And again, we'll talk about that game in a little bit.
Definitely.
But that's what I would have done too. I mean, that's a guy you got a beast like Derrick Henry. Feed him the rock. Pound the ball, control the clock, keep it away from Brady. And how about Kern? That punt at the end of the game, all right, shit, they left Brady with a little time on the clock, something might happen. He puts him down at the 1 yard line.
Yep.
That guy's a hell of a punter. Actually, he punted all well the whole game. Actually, going into the game, Belichick said that Kern is one of the best players on the Titans.
Well, and here's the thing, too, is the game is about field position.
Yeah.
And they had New England backed up. It was great. And what did Brady do? Which, talk about really showing maybe his age and where he's going with things. And you can take the receivers and put them aside and what have you, whatever, okay? Bottom line is, what did he do when it came to crunch time? Pick 6.
Yeah.
Pick 6. I mean, you talk about solidifying the game there. It was just, wow. I mean, it did make some things a little better for me Saturday night.
Well, I'm sure it did. And you know what? I mean, there's a lot of talks about what Brady's going to do. Is he going to retire? Is he going to go to another team? Is he coming back to New England? And coming back to New England seems very unlikely. But how cool is that? His last pass as a Patriot is a pick 6.
Could
be very possible.
My honest opinion,
yeah,
it's not going to happen. He'll be back with New England.
1 year deal.
I don't believe that's the way he's looking to go out. For one, is on a pick 6 in the playoffs, and that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Robert Kraft is not going to allow him to go play for another team. He's just not going to do it. And I don't know. I do believe he'll be back. I think him and Belichick will be back for another year. And I think Belichick's going to hand over the reins here pretty soon. I truly do believe that.
So, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We are.
Whatever. You know what? The coaching carousel, Josh McDaniels is interviewed everywhere, and most recently Cleveland. He left Cleveland without an offer. I'm thinking that McDaniels is going to be the man to take over for Belichick. Could it be this year? I don't know. Maybe it's next year. Maybe Belichick. I don't know what Belichick's got on his contract. Brady says he's got something left to prove. Is it to prove that he can beat Belichick? Beat the Patriots?
No.
He's beaten every other team, so he's got one more team to add to his resume, and beat the Patriots. I don't know. Does he go join somebody who's a quarterback away from, who is that? I haven't done the analysis of, who he could be on. It all depends on what happens after free agency and the draft, too. But
well, and honestly, I don't know if there's a team out there that's a quarterback away from making a jump. When it comes down to some things, but really, where is Tom? Where would Tom Brady go? I mean, is he going to try to stay in the AFC East? What? Maybe go down to Miami for a year? Maybe do something down there?
Yeah.
No. I mean, would he go to the NFC? Who knows? I just don't see it happening. I think Robert Kraft has made it very clear he wants him on the team. He does not want him to play for another team. So.
He needs the Peyton Manning situation. Peyton Manning, Super Bowl 50 with the Broncos. I mean, Peyton was a game manager. He wasn't winning the game for you, but the Broncos had a hell of a defense.
Right.
They had a good run game. They had some good receivers, Demaryius Thomas and Sanders. So they had good receivers, a good tight end too, and Julius Thomas. So he had a good core, but he wasn't the man winning the game. It was their defense and
no, right. I mean, and he got older and he understood it, and that's the one difference I think. In my eyes, look. And it's not because I'm a Tom Brady hater. It's not because I'm a New England Patriot hater. It's not why. My eyes, the greatest quarterback of all time in the NFL is Peyton Manning. And it's because he adjusted to his age. He adjusted to his injuries. He was a game manager. He will, to me, always go down as the best game manager of all time. I mean,
we'll see him right there.
And hey, you know what? He didn't just go to one Super Bowl with Denver. He took him to 2.
Yep.
And I give the guy a lot of credit for that. And you know what? He was the guy calling the plays.
Yeah.
No matter what anybody says, he was your offensive coordinator on top of being a quarterback.
Oh, yeah. He was having your head coach on the field, really, which is fantastic. So again, that's the situation for Brady. He needs something similar to that. Who that is, I don't know yet.
Yep.
Quick shout out to our buddy Pesci. Pesci, the man behind the logo. Thank you for designing our logo once again, dude.
Nice.
See you as you're watching. Glad to see you there. Hope you and the fam are doing well. Thanks again, and we'll be talking to you soon about the next steps, what we want to do with that stuff. All right, next game. Let's move on. Titans Patriots. Let's move on to Minnesota and New Orleans. Overtime victory, an upset, big upset. Vikings 26-20 over New Orleans. Nobody saw that coming. Everybody, Jay and myself, and pretty much everybody else out there, was expecting double-digit victory for New Orleans.
Oh God!
If you had the Vikings winning this game, here's to you. I want to hear it. shocked that they won. I think most of the sports world is.
The only people that had Minnesota in this game were those of you in Minnesota, those of you in North Dakota, anybody in Skull Country.
Yeah.
You are the only ones that were picking Minnesota in this game because I'll tell you, what they did defensively.
Oh my gosh.
To Drew Brees and this high-scoring offense
Michael
that they
Thomas
had.
even.
Michael Thomas did Michael Thomas. 770, he putting up some numbers there.
Yeah.
But they did kind of hold that entire team in check. You want to know who was the offense for New Orleans? Taysom Hill. Taysom
He's a
Hill
stud.
was
Yeah.
like the oldie guy. I mean, he threw for a touchdown. Brees didn't have any. You got Taysom Hill. Didn't he catch a touchdown too? I believe in that game.
I think he did, and talk about like the ultimate. Baseball, you have a utility player, right? He's a utility player for football.
My bad on that. Drew Brees did have a touchdown, but it went to Taysom Hill. And Taysom Hill, though, also, let's see, he had his receiving touchdown, and did he do a rushing? No, actually,
No.
Kamara did have a little guy in there.
No, but like I said,
Taysom Hill led the team in rushing. Taysom Hill had, 2 catches, 25 yards? Not bad. Taysom Hill was a guy, though. He was the man.
I said, he's the NFL's version of a utility player.
Yeah, and he also had the one pass for 50 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus.
Yeah,
He had a higher quarterback rating than Drew
Guy
Brees
could
in that
run,
game.
throw, catch. I mean, he could do it all. And there's actually just rumors about him being the starting quarterback next year in New Orleans. Brees moving on.
Yeah, well,
See that happening?
You know what? I think Drew Brees moving on is more likely than Tom Brady. I would say Drew Brees is definitely more likely to move on from New Orleans and Sean Payton than Tom Brady leaving Belichick and the Patriots. So yeah, it could definitely happen. It could definitely happen. And wouldn't it be something if he went back to the Chargers?
Oh my gosh!
Where he came from. That would be something.
There's another one. So there's gonna be. We're talking.
We are definitely getting ahead of
That's
ourselves,
okay.
but it is
No,
good.
that's
It's
fine. You know what? So last week we talked about the coaching carousel and the coaches moving around and what have you. We'll get into that in a little bit. But there's going to be a quarterback carousel. Again, Tom Brady, where's he going to end up? Drew Brees, what's he going to do? Phillip Rivers, he's another one. What's he going to do?
Phillip's definitely going to be one.
Cam Newton, he's another dude, who could be moving around.
Will Ryan Fitzmagic want to go ahead and
That's
lace
another
him
one.
up and do another one?
Absolutely. And you know what? He should. I mean, he's winning people fantasy championships for crying out loud.
Yeah.
I mean, he
definitely.
was.
Mariota.
Yeah.
I think Marcus
Mariota's
Mariota,
gonna be on the move.
I definitely think he'll be on the move.
Are the Saints going to go to Teddy Bridgewater? He's another option. Or I don't know if he's a free agent, but there's going to be a lot of quarterback shuffling, I think, coming up in the 2020 football season.
Yeah, I think there's definitely going to be a lot. I mean, I'm actually surprised there was not as much coaching movement this year. I really thought there were going to be a few more. I think we're going to see more quarterbacks move this year than coaches, definitely.
Yeah.
I do 100% agree with that.
Yeah, I think so too. There's going to be quite a bit. 2020 offseason, every offseason, but this one's going to be really interesting. And as we said, we're going to keep you going through that, man. We're going to be here.
We will. We will be here doing our shows.
Might be in the studio, might be outside. We'll see. We'll mix it up a little bit.
So, you know what? We're a little bit into this right now. What are we, about 15, 20 minutes in right now? And I'm kind of liking this.
It's warm.
Not is it just warm, but I feel like I can lay back a little bit. We got the
Relax.
backrest. This is kind of nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Although I'm not cooking any food, which is a little. Man, I had pasole ready, beef short rib pasole.
Get out of here! Get out of here!
So good on the damn grill. Anyway, that's not happening today, but
we'll figure something out. We
will figure stuff. We could do a little stovetop in here, maybe.
We could
get the George Foreman grill going on the table.
We can get something going here.
My
Absolutely,
goodness.
We'll figure it out. We got room. We got ideas, and this time of year when it's crappy out, like especially today. I mean, there's heavy winds, a lot of snow, sleet.
But I was ready. I was so ready out there.
Are you grilling today?
God, what's that?
Are you grilling today?
Yeah, dude, I always do.
It's a freaking really.
Look. I threw down. All right, I know we're getting off.
No, that's fine. Go for it.
I threw down a brisket in minus 25-degree wind chills. The damn thing took 20 hours to do, but I was out there firing up that thing, stoking the fire with logs every hour. for 20 hours, and I pulled off a brisket in minus 25 last year. It was crazy.
Wow.
But I did it just because people told me I couldn't.
Well, that's how you are.
Said piss off.
I'm kind of like that too. You know, when like somebody says, "Hey, you can't do that," I'm like, I didn't even want to do that until you told me I couldn't.
Right. Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I hear you.
So let's get into the Seahawks Eagles. I think Minnesota. Look, Minnesota was an amazing game. My hat's off to them. Look, we all thought over 40 points. We thought for sure New Orleans was scoring over 40 points.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. Minnesota held them to half.
Right.
Half of that. So my hat's off is definitely to Minnesota, their defense, and Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer's got that team playing pretty good.
And there were rumors that if Vikings lost that game, that Zimmer might be a candidate looking for a new job.
Right.
Pulling that game out of his ass, I think saved his freaking ass. Yeah.
Wait till we get into some game picks here today.
Yeah, and we'll do that.
You know what? It should be interesting to see where I might swing. I'm kind of on the fence right now in Minnesota.
Okay.
I'm on the fence a little bit.
All right. We'll see which way we'll push you here.
Yeah.
All right, one more game to talk about, and that would be Seattle at Philly. And we both predicted that Seattle would go in there and get the victory, and they did.
They did.
Not a huge shock there. I think a lot of people, the NFC East was super weak this year. And a lot of people expected Seattle to go in there and get the W. They did.
Yeah.
So Jay and I both went 2-2 on our predictions. The score in that game: Seahawks 17, Eagles 9. I had 23-20, so I had a 3-point game on there. And the Hawks actually won by 8.
I had 23-17.
So,
And you know what? Philadelphia's offense was... I mean, they were running the ball pretty good. Carson Wentz taking that hit from Clowney in the back of the neck. And I was not a big fan of that hit, personally, because to me, it appeared Clowney did intentionally spear him in the back. And where he hit him, led with his helmet, I mean, right in the back of the neck. Well, it wasn't the greatest of shots for him.
Yeah, but you gotta slide, man. You gotta slide.
I get the sliding.
I've been, teaching my daughter how to slide since she's been 8 years old, and this professional football player should know how to slide. You gotta slide.
Hey, look, and honestly, look, okay. So when it comes to sliding, I'm there and I'm not. Obviously, baseball, football, they tell you the same thing. You always slide with your feet first. They do.
Yeah.
You don't want to go head first into a base either. It's just something you don't want to do. You're not supposed to do that in football with the quarterbacks and everybody else who's sliding. But I will say, look at Joe Flacco.
Almost wasted beer.
Look at Joe Flacco, slid feet first, and damn near got decapitated by Kiko Alonso coming in there. Yeah. What would have happened if he would have went head first? Kiko would have hit him in the ass. I mean, that is what would have happened. So, football, I think, is a little bit different, and I think each situation is different.
I do too.
I mean, so it's hard to say what's better. Feet first, head first. I don't know. Bottom line is, Clowney did come in and hit him right in the back of the neck. Yeah, I mean, that was pretty rough. That was pretty rough.
It was, but it's hard, man. I mean, you're supposed to play the game at 100 miles an hour. So 100 miles an hour, and then at the last second something changes, and you have to change from 100 to 0. It's hard to do.
It's hard to do. I mean, you played the game. I played the game. Yeah. I mean, it's a hard thing to do. But at the same token, in your mind, in your head, as you're going to do something, you've got to be thinking of that as well. I know it's very hard. I get it. But you do got to understand the game.
Yeah.
And know, hey, I'm not leading with my head. One of the things my coach has always told me was...
Heads up.
Exactly. Your head is always up. You bury your face mask in somebody's chest.
Yep.
You hit with the shoulder and wrap your arms. You're not seeing that a lot in today's world. People are leading with their heads. Yeah. And not only that, if they are running in there, a lot of your defensive backs, they're coming in there and they're not wrapping. They're not looking to wrap a tackle.
No,
they're looking to just hit you with that shoulder and throw it.
Yeah.
So they're looking to hurt you and knock you out. They really are.
We were told eye through the ball. So keep your head up and you want your eye on that football as you're tackling. Your eye heads up, eyes on the football.
Exactly.
That's where you're hitting them. Hit that ball, knock it out. If we didn't play at 100 miles an hour, our ass would be on the bench.
Last time I checked, I think the last person to catch the ball on their head, right? The only reason you'd go head hunting in that scenario wasn't that Hicks, Tyrell,
David Tyrell.
That's right, with the
Super Bowl, Giants, Patriots.
That's the only one where maybe you could head hunt. Maybe you could head hunt in that.
There you go.
Good Lord.
All right, so
David Tyree. Yeah.
That's David Tyree. Yeah, I said David Tyree.
So yeah, let's get back to the
plus for the Bears.
Philadelphia and Seattle here with that one.
Yeah.
And you know what? What I will say here with this one with Philadelphia was McCown. I really enjoyed seeing him.
Yeah, fuck
And at the end of the game, his press conference, you know what? I actually got a little emotional with that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, here's a guy who's had one hell of a career in the NFL as primarily a backup, for crying out loud. Played for all these different teams. Never played in the postseason. And he got his chance.
Did they say he had like a torn hammy or something too that he was playing with?
You know what? I heard he was hurt. I didn't hear what it was.
Yeah, he was playing through some pain.
But I'm giving Josh a lot of credit there. And he didn't have too bad of a game. I mean, it wasn't that bad. Shoot, 18 for 24, 174 yards? You know what? Not too shabby. No interceptions.
Yeah, McCown, he's a solid backup, and he has been for many years. And shit, when I went to that Bears-Cowboys game years ago when it was negative 20 on Monday Night Football, and the Bears were up big at halftime, and all the Cowboys fans went home, it was Josh McCown. McCown went ham in that game.
There you go.
Touchdown, 350 yards. So, yeah, he's a very serviceable backup.
Check something real quick. Look at that. All right, so I want to go into a passer rating real quick. Josh McCown, 94.8 passer rating. Tom Brady, 59.4.
Woohoo!
So, you know what? I'm giving it to McCown, man.
Yeah, absolutly.
Oh, I wish he'd come back one more year for a team. Why not?
McCown, Fitzmagic, maybe they're on the same team.
You know what? Boy, if they're on the same.
Which backup do you start this week?
I tell you what, though, is that not a bad thing for Miami?
Right.
Go with Fitzpatrick and also McCown.
Right?
Why not?
Rosen. So is Rosen done? Think he's done in Miami?
I think Rosen is
done in the NFL. Maybe go to the XFL.
I think Rosen's done. I don't think Rosen's got a chance to do anything in the NFL. I really don't. He is going to be your new Johnny Manziel, honestly. And he's done. He's done in my book.
Yeah.
I mean, he goes somewhere, he's not going to be a bona fide starter. I'll tell you that.
XFL,
I haven't seen anything.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything from him.
They only have 8 teams I think so far in the XFL.
XFL's got 8. Yeah. Yep.
So maybe he could be one. I perused the rosters the other day. I didn't see his name. Well, I didn't see any big names pop up. Although I saw Mark Trestman is coaching a team.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
The name that I was thinking of with the XFL, God, are we going off on tangents? Was
Carterell
Jones, who was drafted by the Buffalo Bills, quarterback, I believe, out of Ohio State.
He is Ohio State.
Yeah, he's an Ohio State Buckeye. Carterell Jones is the general of, I believe, the Washington D.C. team.
Meaning general as in like the
he was their
GM? Or is he
no. I'm sorry. General as in he will be quarterbacking and leading that team.
I have no idea.
Okay. So I thought that was a pretty good name. Obviously, I know him because Buffalo drafted him and he didn't do absolutely.
I know I just started drinking at 2:15. I don't know if Jay did, but that's when I started. So
I started drinking a little earlier.
Yeah, see, figures. Okay. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about these coaches here.
Let's get into some news here, notes before we get into our game previews and true falses and all that good stuff. So go ahead and hit some stuff up. That's what we got.
So we have the Giants. They found themselves a coach.
Giants found themselves a coach. This is
wide receivers coach,
special teams coach, wide receiver coach.
Yeah.
You know, his resume looks good, right? He's got, 5 Super Bowls. He's got 2 collegiate national titles coming out of Nick Saban, Bill Belichick. I don't understand where they're going with taking a special teams and wide receiver coach.
Right.
I mean, look, wide receiver-wise, sorry, but New England did not do too good with their wide receivers this year.
No.
Special teams, I do get it. They did have one of the better special teams in the league. But at the same token, I just don't know. I looked a little bit on his background, and he hasn't really done a whole hell of a lot.
And we talked about that, too, a few shows ago, about the Patriots, how they started out the season with Julian Edelman, Demaryius Thomas, Antonio Brown, N'Keal Harry, Josh Gordon.
Philip Dorsett.
Philip Dorsett. So they had a stable full of good receivers, really hyped receivers, and receivers who have done good things in this league. Thomas. Thomas is good. Gordon,
good. Brown. Well, Brown's the head case.
Yeah, exactly.
But look, they got Mohamed Sanu. They got Mohamed Sanu.
In
a trade,
and he didn't do anything.
Nothing.
He stunk.
Nothing.
He stunk. So maybe they're looking for that. Joe Judge. He's 38 years old. So maybe they're looking for the next young quarterback. Coach. Nagy came into the Bears last year and did really well. Not so good in the second year. Not terrible, but not great. And then the Packers with their rookie coach this year, he took him.
LaFleur.
LaFleur took him to the number 2 seed in the NFC.
And I understand the NFL is kind of trending towards that younger, hungrier coach right now. That's kind of what things are trending. You look at McVay, you see what he's been doing. You take a look maybe even at Kyle Shanahan. Buffalo with Sean McDermott. I mean, I get it. I understand. But at the same token, I think experience is a big deal. I think, sure, the coaching tree he's coming from, Nick Saban, Bill Belichick. He's got some really good...
Has a lot to do with it.
He does.
For sure.
He does. I don't know if that was the right move. I will say I do believe it's a better move than Jason Garrett. I don't believe Jason Garrett would have been a good fit, even though there's a lot of talk about that. And if you want to move on from Joe Judge and get into Jason Garrett a little bit...
Well, we can get Jason Garrett and the Cowboys.
I'd really like to do that because I am here to tell you right now, Jerry Jones truly, as much as he probably in Jason Garrett's face told him how much he loves him, how much he thinks of him, and you're the best, and you're the greatest, Jerry Jones screwed him over. He screwed him over really hardcore. He did not fire him. He's running out his contract until the 14th, which is Tuesday. I mean, he still never has been technically fired, even though Mike McCarthy is the new head coach. It is absolutely amazing. And here he lost all that precious time because what's the only team available? Mm-hmm. The Cleveland Browns. The Brownies are the only team left to go, and Jason Garrett was left in the dust. As much as Jerry Jones says, what? Oh, you'll be a coach. Oh, he's going to be coaching next year. No, he's not.
Is that what the Browns are waiting for?
I mean,
they want Jason Garrett? Like I said,
no.
We said a few minutes ago that McDaniels went in there. He left without a contract. They interviewed, Greg Roman, Eric Bieniemy.
They've had 8 guys, right? 8 guys.
Urban Meyer was on their list. Joe Thomas. I haven't heard anything about him. I know he threw his hat in a ring, but I think Joe Thomas would rather sit on a boat and fish with his dad than coach the freaking Cleveland Browns.
No, if I'm not mistaken, they have not interviewed the defensive coordinator for San Francisco yet, right? And I believe they want to.
No, yeah. So I mean, they're still going on. Is that so?
I believe Brian Dable, the offensive coordinator for Buffalo, I believe he had his interview this week. I don't think it's going to happen. And I'm hoping Sean McDermott actually, as an influence with Brian Dable, said, you know what, probably not the best position to take right now with that team. I think, honestly, who's going to come into Cleveland is got a tall task in front of them. They're going to inherit a lot of prima donnas. They really, really are. It's going to be a tall task for any coach going into Cleveland to coach that team.
Oh, absolutely.
And I honestly feel sorry for him. And I definitely don't think it's Jason Garrett. I don't think Jason Garrett.
He's not the right guy. He would be eaten alive by Beckham, Mayfield, Landry.
Oh, God.
Oh, my gosh. Even Myles Garrett. They have a lot of...
They'd tear him up. They would tear him up.
Mm-hmm. So Cleveland right now, who knows what the hell they're going to do. Freddie Kitchens was one and done. That's the only open job right now. We talked about the Cowboys. So the Cowboys have hired Mike McCarthy.
I know.
An interesting hire. Really interesting hire. I didn't see that coming. So McCarthy wore out his welcome not pretty quick, but he won a Super Bowl in Green Bay. And I don't think it was because of McCarthy. I think it was because of Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers basically said, "Hey, I can't play with this guy anymore. He's not adjusting to change. The league and everything else, the world, changes daily. So if you're not changing and keeping up and adapting to the new ways and new things,
right,
you're going to fall behind." And that was a problem with Mike McCarthy. And now this is the guy they bring in to lead one of the I hate to say it 'cause I'm not a Cowboys fan, but one of the premier franchises in the NFL. Right? Cowboys are one of the
Upper echelon.
upper echelon of the NFL. And they bring in Mike McCarthy. Really? They talked about Matt Rule, who ended up on the Panthers. We didn't talk about that yet. They talked about Lincoln Riley, Urban Meyer, and they go with McCarthy. I don't get it.
So I was definitely taken back, but I'm also starting to think Mike McCarthy is a little bit. I'm going to give him a little bit of credit. He is a lot smarter than I thought he was. I really truly believe that. I mean, Mike McCarthy obviously knows. When you look at the legacy of the Dallas Cowboys, they're not a team that has their coaches in there and they get rid of them after a year, after 2 years. Jerry Jones has always been an owner who likes consistency. He actually gives his coaches a lot of flexibility. He gives them time. He does give them time. I think Mike McCarthy knows that. I would have thought, honestly, Cleveland would have been the better fit because I would have thought of him more like the Mike Holmgren. Go to Cleveland, let's change that around.
Yeah.
Maybe the Giants,
yeah. I see him in the Giants, but the Cowboys sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
Was Zeke and Amari Cooper and Prescott and even defense.
No, we still don't know what's going to go on with Prescott. He's a free agent.
Yeah,
he's going to be a free agent.
Another one. So it's just a very.
I don't know. I just think he's smart only because he knows he will be there minimum 3, if not 5 years minimum. Mike McCarthy. Jerry Jones is going to give him some time. He does come with this, hey, I won a Super Bowl. Sure, it might have been a lot to do with Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. Definitely, I would agree with that. But at the same token, you know what? Packers haven't been in the playoffs since, 2016.
Yeah.
So, 17, 18, not a lot going on there with Mike McCarthy. So
No, like you have one. Yeah. Rodgers, he's up there again. He's in the conversation of the top 10 quarterbacks or top 20 quarterbacks or whatever. He's in the conversation, right?
Sure.
And again, I'm probably not giving him enough credit because I'm a Bears fan. But anyways, he's in the conversation of one of the best quarterbacks, in the NFL. He'd probably go to the Hall of Fame. And he said, "Hey, I can't play with this guy anymore. This guy's got to go." So again, to have a future Hall of Fame quarterback push out the coach and say he's no good, and then the Cowboys thinking that's their guy, it doesn't make any sense.
No, but you know what? Hey, good luck to Mike McCarthy. And, we talked a little bit last week, obviously, about the Redskins. I mean, the NFC East really is a big changeover going on in the NFC East.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about about Riverboat Ron last week, and now they've got their offensive coordinator, their defensive coordinator hired up. Love the Jack Del Rio thing. And what was the other big signing? Was Rule with Carolina.
Matt Rule, Baylor head coach.
Yeah, Baylor's head coach.
Jumping from the college ranks to the pros. Matt Rule going to take over the Carolina Panthers.
I think the best thing about that signing, signing was the fact that he told Cleveland, "Yeah, sorry, I'm not interested in coaching in the NFL, right? I'm not going to do it." When they reached out to him. And yet he goes and signs with Carolina.
I like Charlotte a little bit better than Cleveland. I've been to both cities.
And I don't think it's because of the climate.
I was going to say, I've been to both cities. I'm going to have to agree. I also like Charlotte better than Cleveland. So, Matt Rule, I don't blame you at all on that one. Sorry, we talked about the Brownies. We talked about the Panthers.
Talked about the Giants.
Skins. Yeah. And then...
how about, real quick, if we can, coordinators. The Rams.
Okay.
Rams, getting rid of both their offensive, defensive coordinators, and they have just hired their 2 guys. Little unfamiliar with, Staley, the defensive coordinator that they hired. I think it's a shame that they're moving on from Wade Phillips. I really liked Wade Phillips. Wade Phillips has always been, he was rough with Buffalo. His decision... was starting, Jesus, why am I drawing a blank?
I have no idea.
Oh my God, I cannot believe I'm drawing a blank with the Jacksonville boy. But anyway, he didn't start Doug Flutie in the playoff game in '99 against Tennessee. And it was a shame because Doug Flutie started the entire year, had a great friggin' season. But anyway, Wade Phillips has been a very good defensive coordinator, and to move on from him, and go with Staley, thought was a little interesting. I don't like the pick necessarily, and then offensively, I believe they went with some guy named Collins, and I'm not too familiar with him as well, and I don't know. I honestly think I think Sean McVay was given the option that, hey, you got to change your coordinators or you're out. And you know what he did? He went ahead and said, hey, I sold my soul. I sold my soul. You guys are gone. I'm staying here as the head coach.
Yeah, well, pretty much.
And that's kind of what McVay did. And
McVay was on a hot seat. He was on a hot seat.
He was on a hot seat.
And you know what? If the Rams, the Rams don't have a good year in 2020, I don't see them coming back in 2021.
Yeah, I think it could be tough. And, and again, like these coaches are doing with these young guys, they might be new, they might be good, they might be sexy that first 2 years. But how good of a coach really are they? And that's what it comes down to, getting that new, sexy, young, sports car, right? Brand new sports car you got, because it's the latest, greatest thing. Only a year old. It's not always the best running. So you got to go for longevity sometimes. And that's where I'm at with some of that stuff.
You know what? What was I going to say?
I have no idea. I was taking a drink, man.
You mentioned the Raiders. So the Las Vegas Raiders now, they're done with Oakland.
When the hell did I mention the Raiders?
You didn't, but you're talking about coaching.
Yes.
Talking about the Rams.
Yeah.
And actually, well, I'm backing up a little bit. The Raiders were playing, was it the Chargers? In L.A., there were more Raiders fans than Chargers fans at that game. I mean, it was so loud for the Raiders. It was crazy. Anyways.
The Raiders also played in L.A., too.
They
did.
I
can see the good fan base. Yeah, they did.
They had a good following. Yeah. They're going to Vegas, in a very short flight from L.A. Not bad of a drive. Anyways, they're going to Vegas. John Gruden, he's come in there for the last couple of years, and what he's done, we're talking about coaching, he's changed the culture. He's making it his culture. He got rid of Khalil Mack, he got rid of Amari Cooper, he got rid of some big name. He hauled him some first-round draft picks. He's picking his guys.
Yeah.
But what he's really doing is he's changing the culture of that team and making it to John Gruden's team. And, that's what some of these coaches have a difficult time doing. Some of them don't get enough time, like Freddie Kitchens. He didn't get enough time. I don't know if he was qualified. But Sean McVay. Sean McVay's, again.
I don't think Sean McVay was trying to change culture, though. I really don't.
Well, the Rams keep on bringing in Jalen Ramsey. They have Aaron Donald. They bring in all these big names.
They brought in big names. They're doing what Snyder would do with Washington.
They keep Talib from the Broncos.
Sure.
They're bringing in all these big names, but is that working?
No, it does not work.
No.
And you want to change the culture, it's kind of like what Sean McDermott did, okay? Yeah. And Sean McDermott has learned from a lot of good guys. He's learned from Andy Reid. He's learned from Ron Rivera. If you want to change the culture, you get rid of those guys. And it took a lot, especially because Buffalo, with the disarray that they were in, going through 10 different coaches before he came in 17 years was absurd, right? The general managers we've gone through nonstop in Buffalo. And he came in and he says, I'm going to change this culture. And what did he do? He got rid of those big names. Yeah, he got rid of your Sammy Watkins, your Stephon Gilmores, your Ronald Darby's. He got rid of all of those problems that we had. LaShawn McCoy, I know, was a hard decision for Buffalo this year, but they did it. There's only 4 guys on that team that were still there from Rex Ryan 3 years ago. And that's how you change a culture. You've got to get rid of the guys who are not buying into your system. And it takes a little bit. The only thing with John Gruden that I question with all his decision making has been Khalil Mack. And I think the only reason that he did do that, because Khalil Mack is one hell of a professional. I will give him that. He is a professional.
Yeah.
And he's a stand-up individual. He's not an ego. Khalil Mack is not an ego by any stretch of the imagination. But he got rid of him for draft picks.
Yeah, he did.
That's what he did. He wanted draft picks.
He's like, what do I do? What do I do to get this team younger and build my team my way?
Right.
And unfortunately, Khalil Mack was a casualty of John Gruden trying to build his culture. So it's not because Khalil Mack's a dick or anything like that. He's a good guy, good player.
Yeah.
But you're right.
But I do still wonder, is it John Gruden with the culture or is it Mike Mayock? Because the big fight this year was between Antonio Brown.
Cock is bigger.
Well, Antonio Brown. Hey, look, Gruden wanted him.
Yeah.
Gruden, I mean, I watched Hard Knocks. Gruden was bending over for Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Mayock was like, it's not happening.
No.
And I think Mayock's changing the culture more than anything on that team. And I do respect Mike Mayock. I think he's a very good football mind, very good operational guy.
Yeah.
So I do like Mike Mayock.
Yeah. Okay, all right. That's enough about coaches. I think we talked about all the coaches and cultures and whatever to death. Players, notes. We'll get into those a little bit in terms of the games that are going on this week because that's really what we care. Everybody cares about.
Yeah, exactly.
For your DFS lineup, so hopefully you're doing those. Maybe you and your wife might both put in 150 entries apiece, and you can win that $1 million prize.
Right, exactly.
Did you know about that one?
No, I did not.
You did not. So she was I don't follow reality TV at all, but she was like on The Bachelor or Bachelorette or some bullshit like that, right?
Okay.
So her and her husband, now she met him on a show, I don't give a shit. But anyways, her and her husband both put in the max entries for the $1 million prize is 150 at like a nickel a piece or something like that.
Okay.
So it costs you like $7.50.
Oh shit.
They both put in 150 entries. And they had, I think, 298 unique lineups in there. And one of those lineups won the $1 million prize.
Get out of here.
So people are calling them out, and they're saying it's bullshit, it's collusion, because it's two different people doing it. So it'd be like, say like you and I do it, and say, all right, Jay, you do these 150 lineups, me, I do these 150 lineups.
Right.
And
is that wrong?
we win, we split the prize.
Is that wrong?
I don't know. I think it's against the ethical rules of DFS.
But if the rule
why do they have 150 entries?
Exactly.
For
if the
player?
rule is you're allowed 150 entries.
But technically they got 300.
So?
Yeah.
But again, was that any different than me and you? Or what if we got a third person?
So basically
involved?
they had every possible entry. Well, that's the thing with DFS.
Wow.
And that's a big thing with DFS, right? So say me, you, we get a couple of our guys from our fantasy league. All four of us, we're going to make every combined possible lineup, and we're going to split the pot.
Look, here's what I do in my FanDuels, DraftKings, your DFS leagues that you guys are doing. Me personally, I'm going for the single entries. Because, honestly, I don't want to go up against a guy who can do multiple entries up to 25 and all this. I don't want to do that. I want to go against single entry people. Pick your lineup.
You head to head. Bring it on, bitch.
No, sure. Could I have 5 different accounts? Of course I could.
Yeah.
There's no difference in that either.
That's true.
And that you can do that.
You can set up as many emails as you want.
But hey, I look at it like this too, though. If they did a 150, is it okay? Hang on. Is this any different than Powerball? You're at work and you have 30 employees at work, and you guys all pitch in $5. That's $150 you got in there. Okay. How many lines are you getting? There's no difference.
Well, no, but Powerball.
Here's
the thing, though.
Your odds.
Powerball, though, it's like a freaking like billion to one.
So what? But this is still $1 million.
This one, no, they figured out the odds.
Yeah,
so,
I get you.
I mean, there's only so many players, right? So, I mean, look at these games. We have 8 games. There's only 8 quarterbacks playing. So now you get okay.
But they didn't do this in an 8-game thing. So, they did this in a overall league thing, from my understanding.
The way they got busted is she had all the NFC quarterbacks. He had all the AFC quarterbacks. Sure. And then they went down from there. So
you still got to pick the right ones, man. I mean,
you do.
You know the combinations you can have on a 9-player lineup? I'm sorry.
Well,
as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm concerned, it is harder to pick $1 million winning fantasy lineup than it would be to pick your numbers for a Powerball. There are more combinations. No way, man. There are way too many players, way too many combinations that you can come up with quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, kicker, defense, all that stuff. There's way too many things that can factor in.
Well, yeah, okay, sure.
You got 53 players.
Well, you got Josh McCown,
team.
right? Josh McCown, that's one. He went down, and what's his face?
Carson Wentz down.
So I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's all right. No, that's all right. Once this goes down, hey, you're still back. He's still stuck in 2018 or 20. It's okay. It's okay.
2018 was a
But
better
anyway.
year for me, actually, but whatever.
Dude, you guys got beat by Philly by a point
Oh my
with
God.
the double doink. Come on, it was not that good.
Right.
Hey,
Bring the gentleman Jack down here. That's the only way I'm going to be a gentleman for the next hour.
I'm sorry. 20. I mean, that would have pissed me off.
Gentleman Jack, now.
But anyway, I mean, look, I
Where's our fucking waitress?
I think it's harder odds. You have more combinations that you can pick in a DFS league than you do with Powerball numbers. I mean, there's what is it, 57 Powerball numbers or 61?
Yeah.
Total numbers? And in football, you got 53 players on an NFL roster per team, and there's 32 teams.
Yeah, but
I mean, but
your
you're
players, how many of
picking-
them are fantasy relevant?
Well, okay,
Not many.
fantasy relevant. Let's take 5 from a team.
This is a lot of math.
5 from a team. We're going to simplify this.
I don't
32
do math.
teams. 32 teams. Let's say it's a minimum 5 per team. That is 160 players. You're picking from a pool of 160 players. That's a lot. That is a lot to mix and match where you're going to put each one with the correct people. I don't know. I
let's
mean,
do some lineups and win that $1 million then.
I'm telling you, I don't think
let's
it's
do
that
it.
easy.
All right, we're winning the $1 million.
Wow, we go off on that one.
I love it.
Woo!
I love it.
Oh.
DFS. I mean, you're not playing fantasy. You're playing DFS right now. Unless
This
you have
is
some
true.
weird, crazy fantasy. I did have a fantasy league for the playoffs years ago. I'm not going to talk about that right now. Okay.
All right.
Why don't we get
let's
into...
get into our true false from last week. You wanna do that?
Sure.
Right?
Why not?
We're gonna get into XFL. We're gonna leave the XFL segment out until later on this year. We will do an XFL show segment, part of it. We're gonna do that because the XFL is definitely gonna be relevant. So I think it's gonna be fun.
It's going to be a thing.
I think
And
it's
you know
gonna be
what?
fun.
Why don't you guys, people who are watching or rewatching this later, tell us what you want to hear about the XFL, what you think about the XFL, and if you're going to watch it or if you don't give a shit.
I'm curious. I'm curious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Personally, I'm thinking about rooting for St. Louis. It's the closest one to us, and I think I'm going to be rooting for St. Louis.
You know, I got some customers in St. Louis who
So-
are huge sports fans, and they always give me shit about the Bears, and I'd say, how the Rams doing? Oh, they're not here anymore. Sorry.
So, see, you're so... Oh, that's
Such
so
a dick,
bad.
huh?
That's that arrogant, NFL fan sometimes.
Oh, my God.
I get... God, there it is. It's a Bears fan.
Oh, too far.
All right, let's get into
We'll have to work in an indoor set a little bit because my beers are too far for me.
Oh, God, let's get into the true false from last week.
All right, fine.
What do we got?
I would drop these in front of the camera like I normally do outside, but they break in our
3:15.
studio.
It's 3:50. It's 3:15.
Where the hell did you get that?
Because see, I can take 1:15 Pacific and transfer it to 3:15.
So you're
Central.
doing math.
So I am doing. Hey, I can still
3:15.
do math with.
All right,
these,
so let's
all right?
wrap this shit up. All right, let's go to true false.
True false. Last week, you know what? Hey, we base this off of these playoff games that are going on. I give Brian 3. He gives me 3. This is what we say every damn week. And let's see how we all did. The first one that I gave
how we
Brian
did.
was, this is Houston's
Dogs
6th
eat
wild card game since, oh Christ, since I'm coming into the league. At home, they're 3-2. They lost last year to the Colts 21-7. Will the Texans outscore Buffalo? He said no because, yes, we both picked Buffalo to win. So he was wrong on that one.
Well, shit. All right, let's move on to the next one. Tennessee Titans were third this season with 56 sacks, 3.5 a game. I asked Jay, would they get 3 or more versus Tom Brady and the Patriots? And he said, no effing way. It's not going to happen. He was
No.
right, man. They had 0.
Yeah.
0 sacks against the Pats.
Yeah, it does not surprise
So
me just
again,
because
one of
Tom
those
Brady
sacks.
is one of the quickest quarterbacks to get rid of the football. He gets rid of the football in under like 2.7 seconds. You're not
Hear
gonna
that,
get-
Mitch?
You're not going to
Hear
get
that?
Hey,
fuck.
did you hear that, Deshaun Watson?
Yeah,
because on
seriously.
that token. All right, my next one that I gave over to Mr. B. Rye that he actually got correct on this one.
Oh, Yahoo.
was New England's last wild card appearance was January 10th, 2009 in Foxborough. They had lost to the Ravens 33-7. Would New England win their first wild card game since 2006? He said not happening, and he was right. They did not win that game. Tennessee rolled all over them late. It was very, very nice and good to see, and I'm glad you got that one right.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Next question, I had to him. Buffalo J. Would Michael Thomas lead all receivers as he did all season in the first round of the wild card weekend? He said, "Yep, that's going to happen," and he did not.
Happen.
DK Metcalf, 160 yards, set rookie records in the wild card weekend.
Yeah.
And Thielen had a $129. DeAndre Hopkins had 90, and Michael Thomas was held to 70 yards. So I think even Devin Singletary had 76. So Thomas was around 5 overall.
Might have been a little less than that. He might have been top 10. He was definitely top 10, but
not number 1.
Yeah, not number 1.
DK Metcalf, what a game! And that guy's a player. I mean, he's a
baller,
physical specimen, a big dude.
Yeah.
And people passed on him maybe because he's cool. I have no idea. But Metcalf is a good player, and they'll look for good things for him to come next season.
My last question I gave to him last week was, could Minnesota hold Drew Brees, Michael Thomas, Jared Cook, Alvin Kamara, that whole damn potent offense from the Saints to under 40 points? Could they hold them to under 40 points? He said, nope. Hell, even I thought, no way in hell. But they did, and they held him to half of that. They held him to 20. He was wrong. Crazy still for Minnesota. It's still crazy for Minnesota, man.
All right, last question I had to Mr. Buffalo J here was regarding his own Buffalo Bills and their playoff game. They had a wild game against the Dolphins the last time in the playoffs in '95, where they saw well over 500 yards combined, passing and rushing.
Yep.
I said, will that happen on either side, or passing or rushing in this game? He said, nope. And he's right. Only 472 yards passing combined and 313 on the ground for both teams. So Jay went 2 for 3 in week number 18 on true and false.
I will say Buffalo rushing and passing came close. Just for the team, they had 425 total yards. So it was definitely close.
Right on.
Honestly, you want to know what's really crazy?
I do. Yes, absolutely.
That was the most yards combined for Buffalo for the year. For total offense, 425.
Really?
I mean, they don't put up big numbers. That was honestly Josh Allen's second highest passing total this year. He doesn't put up those kind of numbers, and it was definitely God. I don't want to go. I can't. I'm going to start getting into it now. So let's get into a new true false for this week.
Let's get into it.
For the divisional round, I'm going to let you go first. I'm going to pour some more beer.
You pour some beers. If you run out, I got plenty upstairs.
I'm going to have to break the seal soon, so we got to get moving.
Right there. Here we go. So my first question to you. So like I said, the Patriots are still trying to tackle Derrick Henry from last week.
They are still trying to tackle him.
Will Derrick Henry be the leading rusher in the divisional round for all 8 teams playing this week? He's going against Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram.
Well, I believe he'll have more rushing yards than Lamar. Okay, I definitely do believe that. Will he be the leading rusher out of all teams this week? You know what? Seattle doesn't have a whole hell of a lot going on there. Okay, they're a mess. The Chiefs,
they got
their running back.
Marshawn Lynch, baby.
Yeah, well, you know what? Marshawn only had, I think, seven carries last week, and he didn't really do a whole heck of a lot. So you got the Chiefs. Chiefs are running back by committee. You got the Texans. They got a double-headed monster going on. The Ravens, Ingram, Jackson, Gus Edwards. What's going to happen there? Delvin Cook going against San Francisco. Mostert, Minnesota. And Green Bay with Aaron Jones. If there's anybody that's going to give Derrick Henry a run this week,
yeah,
I know you're not going to want me to tell you this.
I'm listening.
It's going to be Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones will give Derrick Henry a
he
run,
will. Yeah.
But I do believe Derrick Henry is definitely the key. I do believe Derrick Henry tonight is going to have a hell of a game. and keep it going. We're going to get into our previews, but the guy's been averaging over 150 yards since week 10. He's
really?
averaging 150. I mean, the guy is a beast. I do believe he will lead all running backs this week.
Okay.
With rushing
so this
yards.
Is a big,
not
fat,
scrimmage,
true.
not rushing yards.
Rushing yards. Derrick Henry is going to be the man in week number, 19.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Last year, 3 of 4 road teams won in Wild Card Weekend. None of them won in the divisional round. Okay? Mm-hmm. This year, guess what? We got 3 road teams with victories last weekend. This year, will we get a road warrior to be victorious?
I like that.
In the divisional round.
You know, the wild card weekend is always good for that.
Yeah.
They always have 2 or 3 teams that win, and it was 3 teams. We just had the wrong 3. I am looking at the games here set in front of me, and yes, I'm going to say there will be at least one team, road team.
All right.
I'm not going to tell you who until a couple minutes from now.
That's fine.
Yeah. I'm
I like
going to say affirmative, sir.
Okay. Go ahead. Give me your next one.
Oof. Okay. Well, next one I'm looking at is Deshaun Watson versus Pat Mahomes.
Okay.
So, 2 quarterbacks that the Chicago Bears pass over for Mitch Trubisky.
I like where you're going with this.
My gosh.
I'm glad I didn't bring it up.
It hurts me to say it.
Ugh.
This game, is going to be very painful for Bears fans to watch 2 quarterbacks in the second round of the playoffs that they could have had on their roster. Anyways, a lot of people are expecting the Chiefs to win. They're favored by 10 points at home in Kansas City. I did see earlier it looks to be a lot of snow in Kansas City. But will we have Deshaun...
Go ahead.
No, sorry.
Keep going.
So, although, even though there's a lot of snow, Mahomes did pretty well against the Broncos in the snow in week number 14, I want to say. No, I think 15, week 15. And anyways, will Deshaun Watson have more passing yards than Pat Mahomes in the divisional round here?
That is actually a really good one. Wow. I believe Patrick Mahomes will have more passing yards.
Okay.
So you said
I
Will
Will
Deshaun,
Watson, so it's a false.
That's a false. I do believe Patrick Mahomes is a little bit tougher. He's got a little bit more sense of the game. Look, Deshaun Watson, their offensive line, Buffalo really disrupted them a lot last week.
Yeah.
And, Deshaun, other than a couple of plays here and there, I don't think it's going to happen. I do definitely believe that, Josh Allen threw for 264 against Houston.
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes is going to go probably 300. So I like Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, all right, Mahomes.
All right, my next one is Buffalo. I'm going to put a Buffalo reference in here.
Why shouldn't
Buffalo is the only team this year to hold Lamar Jackson under 200 total yards of offense. They held him to 185 total yards when they played them, 145 passing, 40 yards rushing. Lamar is averaging over 208 passing. He's averaging over 80 yards rushing. Can the Titans keep Lamar Jackson under 225 in the air and under 100 yards rushing today? Under 100 rushing
Yep.
and
225.
under 225 in the air. Can they do it? Not many teams have.
I think yes on the rushing, but no on the passing. So
I'll mark that just
because I like Mark Andrews a lot today, and again I know it's not a fantasy week, but I think Mark Andrews has a great matchup. I think Lamar Jackson's gonna be loving him. I think Marquise Brown should have a good game today too. I think he's a great play in your DFS lineups. So give me no, they're not gonna hold him to under
to the combined.
Yep,
Okay,
exactly right.
No, false. All right, like it.
I have one last question. I still do have one last question. My last question to you is both AFC home teams, the Chiefs and the Ravens, are both favored by 10.
Wow, really?
Will they both cover? Yeah. 10 points is what I had yesterday.
Yep. I got 9.5 and 10. That's
Okay.
good. Yeah,
all right.
You're good.
So will they both they're both high spreads.
Either
9.5, 10,
yeah,
both
either
10, whatever.
Biggest spreads this weekend.
Will
Definitely biggest
will
spreads.
both AFC teams cover that big number? Will both of them cover?
No.
Okay.
No. I believe... Boy, if I had to choose... I think Tennessee's going to keep this within 8. I think Kansas City... they're still calling Kansas City Houston the highest game of the year with the over-under at like 51.
Yeah.
51 and a half, which I find kind of odd. I really don't picture that one being so high. But, no, I don't think both teams cover.
Okay.
So, all right, my
I'm okay
last
with that.
one. God, you're going to hate me on this one. But, hey, it is what it is. We got to go with Green Bay, right? So, Green Bay finds themselves back in the playoffs.
I quit.
All right, they're back in the playoffs for the first home divisional playoff game since 2014. This is their first playoff game since 2016. Now, in the 2014 season, Green Bay traveled to Seattle in the NFC Championship game.
Sure did.
They lost 28-22 in overtime. In that game,
The Packers are still crying about it too, little bitches.
I tell you what, they got a little bit to cry about. In that game, Russell Wilson was sacked 5 times. Russell Wilson threw 4 interceptions. Russell Wilson only had 209 passing yards. And Russell Wilson only had 1 touchdown, and that actually came in overtime of that game. Will Green Bay's defense hold Russell Wilson? It's another 2-pointer, two category one. Will they hold him under 230 and have at least 2 picks this week?
No, because I don't think they're gonna have 2 picks.
Okay.
So
you definitely do think they're going to keep him under 230, just not 2 picks.
not necessarily.
Okay. Well, you said
I
the
mean,
2 picks. You said the 2 picks.
Yeah, the 2 picks is what did it for me. You gave me 2 points. You gave me 2 outs. I'm gonna take my 2 outs and use those fucking 2 outs and say no.
Okay. All right. False. I like it.
There.
I like it.
Okay. All right. That's our True Falls recap. That's our True Falls for week number 19, divisional round. We're gonna move on to our game predictions and keys to the game for week number 19 divisional round, and get you out of here because the Vikings and Niners are about to start very soon.
They're getting ready to kick off here
So
pretty soon.
we'll
So
do
yeah,
this as quick as we can.
let's go through and do what we can as quick as we can. And
First game we want to talk about, Minnesota at San Francisco.
Minnesota, San Francisco.
I'm going to take Minnesota and their keys to the game here and game prediction here. We got the Niners, the home team, favored by 7. We got a 44.5 point over-under in this game. Keys to the game for Minnesota. So, Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's he's been an integral part of their offense all season. They need to get him going and, feed Cook the ball, control the clock. Feed him the ball, control the clock. That's one of the things that Minnesota needs to do early and often to establish control of this game. Number 2, I like for Minnesota is, it seems to be they either have Thielen or Diggs involved, in the passing game. Thielen had a big game last week. Then it's Diggs, then it's Thielen. Spread the ball around. Spread it around. Get everybody involved. Get Rudolph involved. Get, Cook, I mentioned he's going to be involved in the ground game and in the air a little bit. Get Thielen, get Diggs, spread the ball around, move the ball around, and, keep the Niners guessing on who the ball's going to go to. And, I think that's going to help you on offense. Defensive-wise, for the Vikings, the Niners, they do spread the ball around, right? They got Debo, they got Emmanuel Sanders, they got Breida, they got Tevin Coleman, they got George Kittle, who's a freaking monster. And really, out of all those guys, I think Kittle's their best player on offense.
Yeah.
That's who they need to shut down. They need to focus on shutting down the passes over the middle to George Kittle. Don't let Kittle beat you in this game. So focus on Dalvin Cook, spread the ball around, and stop George Kittle. Those are keys, I think, big keys for the Vikings if they want to be victorious on the road in San Francisco this week. I'll let you go ahead and talk about the Niners, and then we can go into our.
I like it. So one of my biggest things that I think that the Niners need to do to win this game is Jimmy G. Jimmy G has got to protect the ball, and he can't force throws. Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, come on, this is going to be his first playoff appearance.
Yep.
This is the first time he's doing something big here. They've had a bye. He's had a lot of time to think about some things. Jimmy G has not been the greatest quarterback this year. It hasn't been happening. Jimmy G, I believe, needs to definitely not try to do too much. So hit what's there. Hit what's there. Find your guys that are open. Don't take those big shots down the field. Next one is protection.
Yeah.
All right. Offensive line. They have got to protect Jimmy. They do. And it's going to come down to the line of scrimmage right here with this. Minnesota put a lot of pressure on Drew Brees. Minnesota gave Drew Brees a lot of fits last week. Jimmy G is not a veteran like Drew Brees. How is he going to handle it? What's he going to do? I think right now the offensive protection for that team is critical, and get George Kittle active early. You need to be finding George Kittle over the middle. You need to find George Kittle through the seams. Get George Kittle going. I really don't think the run game is going to be a big deal here in this one. I think it's going to come down to the tight end, what he can do when Minnesota's running their zone coverage, and can't talk.
That's okay.
And exploiting the zone with George Kittle. So Jimmy G is a big one. Offensive protection is a big one from the offensive line. And George Kittle. George Kittle is huge.
George Kittle's a huge part of this game. We both said that. So, yeah, I like that.
Now, where are we going to go with picks on this one? This is where I'm going to go with a little bit of an upset on this one. And it was tough for me. I was leaning both different ways. I do believe the score in this game is going to be 24-20. I think this is going to be a really, really good game. I think it's going to be the under. I believe Vegas is predicting 44.5.
Yep.
I think we're going to be at 24-20. And I'm taking Minnesota in this one.
Ooh.
I am taking Minnesota as a road warrior.
Wow.
Skull, baby. Come on. Come on.
Okay. I like, that sounds weird, but I like the balls you have on this. I like your balls. All right. My prediction here, I got the Niners coming up victorious, winning by 7, 26-19.
Oh, okay.
Niners,
I like that. I like that pick.
So, Niners 26-19. Right there with the spread of 7 and a little bit on the over.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's move on.
Let's move on.
The primetime game tonight.
Titans-Ravens. Titans-Ravens. I'm going to go ahead and say right now, it's Derrick Henry. Feed the beast. Feed Derrick Henry. He's averaging over 154 yards on the ground since week 10. He's had 3 times he's gone over 180 yards. He's had once he's gone over 200 yards. You've got to feed Henry the ball. He is key to this game. I can't say enough about the guy. God, he almost won me a championship.
Yep.
But it is what it is. Defense with Vrabel. You've got to contain Lamar Jackson. Okay? Lamar Jackson, third down conversions. Look, they held New England to 38% on third down. They've got to do the same thing here. Don't let Lamar kill you on a big third down play. And get A.J. Brown and Corey Davis involved. Ryan Tannehill was only 8 of 15 for 72 yards last week. He had an interception out of those 15 freaking passes. He did have a touchdown. But get those guys involved. You can exploit that defense. A.J. Brown's probably going to be with Marcus Peters all day. Use Corey Davis. Corey Davis is a big key to this one. Go Titans. I kind of like the underdogs.
Yeah.
Hey, that's where I'm going with Tennessee.
Okay.
That's where I'm going.
All right, we'll get a score prediction in a minute here, and I'll talk about Baltimore for a minute. So, Baltimore, focus on what got you here. So, run the rock, control the clock. Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram, those two guys, they were dominant. The RPOs were fantastic for Baltimore, makes me guess. And, there's a lot of defensive players that said this year that Lamar Jackson, he's one of the toughest guys to bring down in football.
Yeah.
So, one, you're guessing who the hell has the ball. And then 2, when he does have the ball, he's there to tackle. So, run the rock, control the clock. And that's exactly what Tennessee has to do. Jay mentioned Derrick Henry, so that brings me into point number 2. They need to stack the line and stop Henry and make Tannehill beat you. Now, Tannehill, I said he's earned himself at least a franchise tag in Tennessee, if not a bigger contract. He had a hell of a year for the second half, and did really well. He did really well fantasy-wise. He did really well professionally-wise. He got the Titans in the second round of the playoffs. The game plan against the Patriots was to run the rock, and they did not rely on Tannehill that much. Make Tannehill try to beat you. So stack the line, stop Henry. For Baltimore, again, run the rock, control the clock. So my first 2, and then your play actions, right? So Tennessee is going to be focusing quite a bit on the run. They're focused on Lamar Jackson. You have to focus on Lamar Jackson because he's one of the best players in football, probably not the MVP this year. Excuse me. So you have to focus on Jackson. So take advantage of that and use your play action to your advantage. So, run those play actions, find Mark Andrews, find Hollywood Brown. So use your play action, stop Henry, run the rock. Those are my 3 keys for the Titans. The Ravens to beat the Titans. I got Baltimore beating Tennessee 31-17 in this game.
Ooh, okay. That's interesting you say that. So I got a question for you, though. When it comes to this game, Mark Ingram. Yeah. Mark Ingram. He's fighting that calf injury.
Yep.
Now, they've already said he's going to be playing, he's going to be active, whatever. He's good. But they've also said they're going to keep a really good eye on it. Mm-hmm. You think Mark Ingram is going to be the workhorse in the running game?
I think so. He had the wild card weekend to rest, so he's had a couple weeks of rest now.
Okay.
He has had a calf bothering him, but Mark Ingram has had a hell of a year. Him and Jackson have been feeding off each other.
They have.
And been playing really well. So I think he's going to be really extreme. He's going to be very difficult to stop in this game for the Titans.
So now I like your 31-17. I've got a 31-14.
31-14?
I got 31-14, and I do have Baltimore. So I do believe it's going to be the under, also with Vegas. But 31-14, Baltimore. I think it's going to be, honestly, the biggest margin of victory this weekend.
I think so, too. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. That brings us into our next game, still in the AFC, Houston at Kansas City.
Yeah.
I'll let you lead off there, too.
Sure, why not? So right now, Houston, Kansas City, they're picking this to be the largest total point game at 51.5, Vegas is. I'm going to give you guys what I think the Texans got to do. And, I had to pick the Texans last week as well. This week's a little bit different, but protecting Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson was sacked 7 times last week. That's the most in his career. Buffalo was swarming him all day. The offensive line for Houston was struggling mightily. Kansas City does have a very good defensive front. So it's going to be very important that Houston can protect Watson in this game on the road. Don't let Mahomes beat you. Last week, the Texans defense allowed Josh Allen to have 264 passing yards, 92 rushing yards, and 16 receiving yards. That is a lot for a quarterback. Josh Allen is only in his 2nd year. Mahomes is in his 3rd year, which is a great year for him. He's got the experience in the playoffs. You cannot allow Mahomes to beat you. They're going to have to rely on J.J. Watt and that defensive front to try to contain Patrick Mahomes. And lastly, get Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson going. They had 86 total yards on the ground last week. I believe they need a lot more this week in Kansas City. Don't rely so much on Deshaun Watson and his arm. You got to rely on Hyde and Johnson, the two-headed monster in that backfield, to get some things going. This way, it can maybe open up a little bit of net passing game so Deshaun doesn't struggle so much in the first half like he did last week.
And there you go. So, that's kind of a key for the Chiefs is to pressure Watson. So they need to get pressure on Watson. Buffalo's got a much better D than Kansas City. I don't think they're going to sack him 7 times like the Bills did. But they need to get to Watson, and they need to keep it up for the entire game. They need to stay on him and keep him uncomfortable. That's my number 1 key for the Chiefs. is you keep pressure on Deshaun Watson. Blitz the quarterback, make him uncomfortable back there in the pocket. Number 2 for the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Houston Texans is they need to get Mahomes going. So Pat Mahomes. So Jay mentioned again, you need to stop Mahomes. Come out throwing. So the Kansas City running backs have had a kind of like the Seahawks, a mix of different people there in the backfield all season.
Yeah.
And they haven't had a go-to guy in the backfield, and that's something that the Chiefs will be probably looking for in the offseason. But get Mahomes going. Come out throwing, come out gunning, find Kelsey, find your comfort people, Tyreek Hill. Get Mahomes in a rhythm. And I think that's going to be very difficult for the Texans to keep up in this game if Mahomes finds a nice rhythm at home with his stud receivers and Travis Kelsey, who is just a monster. Yeah, I love that man. And then number 3, don't let J.J. Watt get involved. J.J. Watt gets involved in a game, the Texans get fired up, right? He fires up that whole team, whole defense.
He does. Now, Grant, he didn't have a sack till the third quarter last week.
Right, no, he was quiet, but when he did,
he got him.
I think the roof came up.
He got him.
It seemed like the roof came off.
Hey, he got the sack. They got a touchdown.
Exactly.
Honestly, that's what happened.
Yeah. So you keep J.J. Watt at bay. So those are your keys, right? Pressure Watson, keep J.J. Watt at bay, and get Mahomes going early and often. I have this game being a little bit closer, so we got a 10-point spread or a 9.5, depending on what line you're looking at or what book. And I got the Chiefs winning this game 33-27, so I'm going with the over. High-scoring game, but a little bit closer than Vegas is thinking, but still a victory for the Chiefs at home.
All right, so I've actually, and there's a touchdown by San Francisco.
Okay.
And why not? Jimmy G. To Bourne. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Bourne identity.
We're running a little bit late. I have Kansas City 26-20 in this one. I do have the under also in this one. So 26-20. That's what I got. I'm not trying to hurry, but I am trying to hurry.
No, that's okay. You're not trying to hurry, but you're trying to hurry. We got
Seattle,
one more game to cover.
Green Bay.
I don't have a lot to say about either one of these teams, but I'm going to lead off and I'm going to go with the Seahawks, right? So, beast mode. I heard he's going to get the ball a lot more, and why not? So he got a little action under his belt in the last couple of weeks. They don't really have anybody else to go to, so feed the beast. Feed the beast.
I like it.
Get Marshawn Lynch involved in this game. I think he's in for some, obviously, goal line touches. I can see possibly 2 touchdowns from Marshawn Lynch in this game.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that. The second thing is... again, pressure on the quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, you give him time, he's gonna find Donald Driver. Donald Driver's not even there anymore, but Aaron Rodgers will find him if you give him
Jennings.
time. He'll find receivers that don't even play for the fucking Packers if you give them motherfucker time. So don't do that. Get to Rodgers, get him early, knock him on his ass, make him uncomfortable. And the last key to this game for the Seahawks is. They're wide receivers. So you got Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. They're going to have a much tougher matchup this week. The Packers have some pretty good cornerbacks, I think Metcalf again could have a good game. Jair Alexander, I don't know if he's going to match up against Metcalf or he's going to match up against Lockett. We'll see. Again, feed your receivers and it should go well for you. So feed the beast, get your receivers, and get to Rodgers' ass.
All right, I like it. So, here's what I got for Green Bay. I need strong secondary play. They're going to need strong secondary play going against DK, going against Lockett. Jacob Hollister, you're going to have to be able to stop those guys. Run the ball. Establish that run early. Open up that passing game. Give that ball to Aaron Jones. Bring in Williams to spell Aaron Jones. That's going to be key. And let Aaron Rodgers be Aaron Rodgers. Don't be too conservative. Nathaniel Hackett has a way of being conservative. He did it in the AFC Championship game against the New England Patriots when he was with Jacksonville 2 years ago. They were up 17-10 early in the third quarter. He got too conservative. He did not let Blake Bortles do anything. They lost the game. He has a history of doing that. I'm going very, very fast. I've got to break the seal. I got gotta go. I need to go.
It's time
Literally.
to go. It's time to go.
This is the only game that I got the over from Vegas. I'm going 30-26. I like Green Bay in this game. 30-26. They hit the spread at the 4, but they're doing the over. And yeah, you want to say what you want to say.
You know,
you
last
go right
time,
ahead.
all right, just hang on there, pal. You know, last
I
time
don't know.
there was a shitload of snow in Green Bay, and we
Yep.
just lost Jay. So, anyways, I got 23-20 Seahawks over the Packers. That is our show for week number 19. We lost this dude. Yeah, thanks again for watching, and we will be back. We'll be back for the championship round. We're going to take the Pro Bowl week off, and we're going to have a kick-ass Super Bowl show coming up for you guys. Thanks for watching. That's week number 19 in the books. Thanks for playing. We're out.